Okay, we're finally in the last 2 minutes of this thing.
Pull the wool over the eyes of the human resources moralists, that acquiescing to their insane demands will solve any problems whatsoever, or that you will not be called upon directly to account for your privilege in the most real of senses.
That just sounds like a threat, like, hey, you know, don't think we're not going to call on you in the most real way. Like, CEOs already have people to keep them accountable. It's called the board, and they are completely aware of this. They don't need you to remind them, Jordan.
Pledge further.
You pledge further now. Pledge, pledge.
In the most real of senses. Pledge further. I will stop manipulating the psyches of my employees.
Oh boy, after all the little psychological mind tricks I've explained to you, how he's using commitment and consistency and narcissism and all these other little tricks, for him to say, you know, I will stop manipulating people psychologically is just very ironic.
I will stop manipulating the psyches of my employees. I will stop educating them politically. And I will stop anyone in my company from ever doing so. Political education is the job of KGB commissars.
I wonder where we're supposed to get a political education, you know. And the thing is, if you start with something like environmental, that doesn't begin as political. It becomes political when people have to dispute about how to do it. But if a company says, hey, guess what, we're going to make up for some of the environmental damage we do by paying into this, that, or fund, or cleaning this or that up, then that is part of the value that they're bringing to their customers. End of story. It's not political. It's just the values, right? The dispute about it and trying to get along with people who want to do it differently, that's where it becomes political, particularly when it concerns like the use of centralized or you know, nationally owned or commonly owned resources to do that. But just, you know, a company saying that we're going to do this, that's not political. You know, Jordan sees it as political because he's afraid of the apparatus of the state enforcing this, like he had a brush with back in Canada. And I don't know the final outcome of that. I know that the situation is always changing, but yeah, I don't know. Okay, let me hear more of my pledge I'm supposed to listen to.
Not of corporate executives. CEOs, I implore you, start standing up for what you are and what you do. If your company is genuine, if it is addressing the true needs and wants of genuine customers, if the people you serve are being informed honestly by the agents of your company about the services you offer, and if you deliver what you are paid to deliver, then there is nothing to feel guilty for. Quite the contrary.
Yeah, again, he's being a Karen and trying to tell the manager what to do. And, you know, as we've already stated, CEOs are keenly aware of what their customers want and are trying like heck to deliver it to them.
And if there is, because something shady is going on, then stop inhabiting the dark places and the shade.
So I guess, but this dark places again, he's kind of like projecting that he can see what people are doing shameful or something like that. I don't know, another one of those God is watching you masturbate things.
And do well enough so that your conscience, to say it again, is clear.
And again, it's just, for him, responsibility ends at one's own conscience. That's totally absurd. In a world where you have to get along with people and share the world with other people, you have to get along with at least the people near you. And if people are gonna grant you a whole lot of power and responsibility, then to use your own phrase from the Bible, that person who is given much will have many demands placed on them. So he can't really keep track of his own worldview here, because suddenly he's telling the CEOs that they should be the center and that things should be centralized and that there should be this rigid, stiff hierarchy.
Perhaps you should at least be on your own side.
Yep, and the whole thing is just a big advertisement for, yes, a big corporation, the Daily Wire. I'm sure the people who run the Daily Wire are thinking to themselves, oh my gosh, you know, he's right. Anyway, thank you for listening to this. I hope, you know, my contribution just helped you think about what he's saying a little bit and kind of see some of the holes, not only in this speech, but in his whole entire worldview, and how he particularly uses emotion and character and other pathos, right? In the Greek tradition, there's three main ways of persuasion. There's pathos and logic, and I forget what the other one is, to try and manipulate people and to get them on their side, while under this guise of educating them or informing them. What he's mainly doing is any topic that you might be interested in, he says it with a sneer in his voice so that you're dissuaded, and it's marked so that you know that that's what would you call it, unspeak, or something that shouldn't be spoken, verboten. And that's really what this guy is. It's really kind of a tragedy how he went from who he was when he was inspiring people to explore, you know, who they were, the young adults, into this kind of an odd flex, you know, to being like the person who's saving the world as a conservative, you know. And I think he's just doing that conservative projection thing where basically almost everything he said should just be directed back at himself. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go back to bed and tend to my stomach ache. I'm sad I had to do this instead of just like going to work at my normal job, but I wasn't feeling well. And I like my channel to have much more DIY and DSP stuff. It's just when this came on while I was driving home, I just really compelled to stand up and just kind of explain and interpret how I see things.